Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on whichever part of the world you are tuning in from. I'm so grateful, excited, and thankful to be with you here this morning. It's Friday, the last trading day of the week. Happy Friday to everyone in the house, and I hope that you are pumped up and ready for another exciting and insightful edition of the Xtrendspeed Live. So you know how we do it. Let's confirm that we are good to go this morning. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly without distortion, please type in hi in the comment section and let's get this party started. So if you can see my screen and you can hear my voice clearly, please type in HI in the comment section, hi, so that I can get a positive feedback that we are good to go. I would like to see some feedbacks in the comment section, please. Let's see what we have here. Okay, so okay, T-Rex, good morning to you. Thank you. Rupal Dear, good morning. Thank you very much for checking in on us. Yes, the dollar is going down, but we might likely be seeing some traction this morning. So we are going to be looking at the market as regards to that. Okay, Rupal Dear, trust you are doing very well. 6392, good morning to you. Thank you very much. Agrioni, good morning. Thank you very much. Hey Carrie, good morning. Happy Friday to you too. Thank you very much. 26338, good morning to you too, and thank you very much for this positive feedback. So I think with the handful of comments we have here, I would take this as a positive confirmation that we are good to go this morning. And it's on this note, I welcome you all once again to yet another promising session on the Xtrendspeed Live, as I will be taking you on a trading journey in the next 1 hour. My name is Sharif Daramola, and for the next 1 hour we shall be reviewing the current market structure from a price action based technical analysis. We are going to be diving into an insightful analysis of all the financial instruments on our watch list for the week. Remember, we've been deliberating on the XAUUSD, the GBPUSD, the USTech100, and of course the USOILSPOT. So we are going to be looking through this market structure from a comprehensive technical price action. We shall explore the recent movement and chart patterns to uncover key insights that can potentially shape our trading decisions ahead of the last trading day of the week. And for those who are joining us for the first time, you are highly welcome on board. Our purpose here is to come together as a community gathering in anticipation of the New York trading session. During this time, we always review and manage our current positions, while we also aim to position ourselves strategically for the day's trading session. We do this on a daily basis, so I implore you to be part of us on our subsequent editions too, as well, as the more time you spend with us, the better you get to eventually understand how to use the information you gathered here to make your independent decision on your own account. So on this note, I welcome you all once again. Now today is Friday, the last trading day of the week. You know how we do it on Fridays. On Fridays, we're expecting potential reversal patterns on our chart, as there is a high chance that key players in the market who have held on to a position throughout the course of the week will definitely want to be doing some profit taking activities, closing some of their positions ahead of the weekend. And this of course normally reflects on the chart as price action gradually gaining momentum in the opposite direction of the prior leading price action. So we are going to be taking all this into consideration while we review the current market structure. So with that being said, here we are going to be diving into the business, and as usual, the first thing we are going to be doing is to check on the economic calendar to see what the majority in the market are looking forward to. And as you all know, these fundamental factors often manifest on the chart in technical patterns and price movements, and by monitoring the economic calendar, we can easily identify potential correlations between key economic releases and, of course, specific technical patterns. So with that being said here, right inside the economic calendar right now, so we shall be focusing on today's event, Friday, July 14th, and we're going to be focusing on high impact event from the economies that affect any of the currencies we are monitoring for the week. And in fact, for today, we only have one high impact event, and that is the publication from the Michigan University, that is the Consumer Sentiment Index. This is a survey of personal consumer confidence in economic activities, as it shows us a picture of whether or not consumers are willing to spend money. Generally speaking, a high reading anticipates a positive momentum for the dollar, while a low reading is seen as negative. And this event is going to be coming up in about 3 to 4 hours from now. And from the previous data for the month of June, we have 64.4. And there's a general consensus that project that we could be seeing a 65.5 for today. So there is, from what we can see here, it shows that there is some level of positivity in the year in favor of the US dollar. So we are going to be looking forward to what the actual data is going to be like. Will it be just as expected, below expectation, or even beyond expectation? And of course, what we want to be doing in this community is to ensure that we can identify a tradable setup so that we can position ourselves in such a way that we can catch any potential opportunity prior to the event, or even within the event and after the event. So with the information we have gathered here from the economic calendar, let's dive right into the business for today. So the first instrument we are going to be taking on today, as usual, is going to be the US All Spot. Now, on the US All Spot, it has been quite a phenomenal week for us here in this community, as we have been very, very profitable on this instrument. As you can see, we have been buying this commodity since Tuesday. But remember, we had a couple of losses at the beginning of the week where we had a buy initially, which was taken out in a loss. And of course, we also had a sell at one point, which was also taken out in a loss. But interestingly, we begin to realize our sellers were struggling around that $73 level, which incited the idea of making this area as a potential temporary demand zone as at that point. And we projected that this might likely be an opportunity for us to join a bullish move. And in order to help us guide our trading activity, if to capture this bullish move, we had a couple of trend lines here that we said we were going to be using to guide our trading activity. Now, one of the trend line is this descending trend line, which captured the lower highs since the beginning of the week. And then we have the ascending trend line. We captured the higher lows at the beginning of the week to give us a vehicle that could drive a momentum to the upside. And what we decided here on Tuesday was that we are going to be looking forward to a breakout retest of that descending trend line, which of course will make price still remain above the ascending trend line to be part of a bullish momentum. And as you can see here, during the New York session of Tuesday, we had our second buy position for the week, and since then we have been adding more position to our existing trade to maximize the potential of that move. Now look at what we had here. We added more position at the $73.60 level. We added at the $74 mark. We also added at the breakout of the $75 area on Wednesday. And if you remember, during our live session yesterday, we also acknowledged that as long as price action remain above these ascending trend lines, we look out for more opportunities to buy the US oil spot at the $75.90 level, as you can see here. And since the beginning of the week, we have over 1, 2, 3, 4 positions running in profit, dovetailing to a total of over 300 pips in profit at this point in time. And for those who are taking advantage of this opportunity, well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move. And for those who still have a buy position running at this point in time, you know how we do it in this community. We want to ensure that we secure our current position by moving all stop losses to an appropriate area to ensure that even if price action goes against us, we shall not fall into a losing position. And from the current market structure here, I'm of the opinion that we should have our stop losses around the last entry point here, just right above the $75.90 level or around that area. Of course, we want to give room for price action to breathe. There is still a likelihood that we could see price come back to retest that structure to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So let's ensure we move our stop losses. Let's give enough space for price action to breathe, and let's see what's going to be happening from this juncture in this market. So once again, well done to you guys. Now, with a well secured position at this point in time, what is our plans for the New York session today? What are we looking at for the New York session? Are we continuing buying the US oil spot, or are we going to be getting ready to sell, as the expectation that majority in the market will be looking forward to taking profit activities, which will reflect on the chart as a retracement move? So with this being said here, let's dive into the current structure and see what we can take out of it. Now, from the structure here on the 1 hour time frame, the first thing you will observe here is how price action has been finding selling pressure around that $77.20 level, which happens to be the highest point price action has been for this week. Now, we saw that when price got into that structure during the later part of the New York session yesterday, we saw some selling pressure resume, pushing price to the downside. But I'm of the opinion that the sell pressure is not a significant confirmation that sellers are coming in here. It could still be a retracement of the impulsive move we have been expecting. Now, coupled with this is this ascending trend line. Remember, at the beginning of the week, we had a couple of ascending trend line. We had the major one here, which is the red thick line, dotted line on your screen. And of course, we had a couple of more trend line which guided our trading activity yesterday. Remember, so these are the trend lines here. So this is the first one here, and then we had the second one here. So as long as price action remains above this trend line, we have no other choice than to continue to look out for buying opportunity. The only thing that will make us sell the US oil spot today is for price action to break down this trend line at any point in time. Now, let's talk about the potentials of sellers in this at this juncture in the market before we go into the potential trend continuation to the upside. Now, the first thing I want us to look at here is how price action will react to these trend lines here. Will price action ever get into that trend line? That's the first question. And if it does, what do we want to be looking out for? Now, if price action drops into this trend line, well, we want to remain patient. Remember, we've moved all stop losses on all our buy positions. So we want to remain patient at this point to see how price action will react to this level. Now, one of the things that could happen here is buy pressure resuming around this area. It will come in the form of a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, or even a falling wedge to incite an opportunity to buy. And if this happens, of course, we want to be part of a bullish momentum from that area. And of course, we have a buy stop order above the $77.20 level to capitalize on more opportunities on this commodity. However, if instead of finding buy pressure along this ascending trend line and instead price action drops below the trend line to the downside, giving us signs that sellers are gradually gaining momentum at this point. Well, I'm of the opinion that we are not going to be getting too excited, as remember, we still have a strong ascending trend line, which was the platform upon which we built upon the bullish momentum we have been enjoying so far this week. So there is still a chance that price could still come back into that major ascending trend line, which of course shares a confluence with the $75.55 level to incite another wave of bullish momentum. So we're still not going to be thinking of selling unless you are a counter trend trader or a scalper who is looking to take advantage of a 70 pips move into that area before deciding on what next to do. Now, if price action drops further into this trend line, we also want to remain patient to see how it would react to that level. Buying pressure above this area will welcome buying opportunities. And how do we look out for these buying opportunities? We look out for reversal patterns. We mark out the neckline of the reversal pattern, then wait for the breakout retest to join that bullish move to the upside. However, if price action drops below the ascending trend line at this point in time, then this will be a clear sign that we might likely be seeing a sell-off in this particular market. And remember that we are not going to be getting too excited. As you all know, this could turn out to be a false breakdown. So we will need a confirmation for us to join that bearish move. And to do that, we want to be scaling down into the lower time frame to look out for patterns and structures that reveals that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the ascending trend line, and this would reflect on the chart as a retest of structure followed by continued selling pressure, after which we want to be part of the bearish move to the downside. So this is the only condition that will make us want to consider selling the US oil spot for today. But as long as price action remains above these trend lines, we'll want to continue to look out for buying opportunity. And remember, I told you that we are having a buy stop order above the $77.20 level to capitalize on a potential uptrend continuation. So these are my views here on the US oil spot for today. They are very simple setup. All we just need to do is remain patient and wait for all these for structures to mature before jumping in. So like I said, let me do a quick recap again. We have a couple of trend lines here. We have this first trend line here, which I said we want to see how price action will react to this trend line, and that if we find reversal patterns above the trend line, we shall get ready to buy. But if price drops below the trend line, that's we might see a sell move to the downside, which I said I'm not going to be taking advantage of unless you are a scalper or a short-term trader. You want to take advantage of a 70 pips move, then you can as well join. But what I emphasize here is that we have a bus stop here, which is another ascending trend line, which has a potential or has a tendency of even pushing price to the upside. So this is very, very important here. If price breaks down the structure here at this point in time, we want to see how the market will react to this level to decide if we are going to be buying from this juncture or we are going to be selling from this area. So let's mark these levels out on our chart. Very, very important, as you will be needing them as a reference point to guide your trading activity for today. So if you have any questions whatsoever as regards to the current market setup, feel free to let me know in the comment section, or you need me to do some clarification in an area which you don't really understand, let me know in the comment section, and trust me, I am here and willing to be of help. So I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, and you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart or screenshot my screen, as you will be needing it as a reference point to guide your trading activity for today. I see your comment, Can786, Legacy05. Good morning to you, Legacy. How are you doing today? 293, thank you very much for checking in on us. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page on the US All Spot, so we shall be moving right into the next instrument for today. So the next instrument on our watch list for today is the US Tech 100. Another very interesting trading setup we had on this commodity this week, which has fetched us over. If you are taking only one position, you'll currently be running with over 500 pips in profit. Not to talk of us that are taking multiple entries on this commodity to maximize the potential of this bullish move. In fact, well done to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. So let's quickly run through how the week started for us on the US Tech 100. As you can see here, at the beginning of the week, price action was initially consolidating. In fact, caught within a range here. It was initially between a tight range that was just right within the $15,055 level, and of course our key level for the week at the $15,000 mark. But one interesting thing happened later on to further emphasize the level of indecision in the market was how price action expanded. The range expanded further into the 14,935 area. Now we were looking out for buying opportunities above our key level. Now waiting for the breakout of the $15,000 mark, which actually did trigger in our first buy position. And since that moment, we have been adding more position to our existing trade. As you can see here, we also added at this point too. Then during our live session on, when was this? Hold on a second. What happened here? Okay. I don't know what happened here. Okay. Sorry about that. So on Wednesday's trading session, we also added another more position as soon as price action broke out of the 15,165. And yesterday's trading session, we agreed that we are going to be capturing the breakout retest of the $15,300 mark, as you can see here. Then another one here at the 15,500. So on this single trade here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 good positions here, which are all running in profit at this point in time. So well done to everyone who had been part of this profitable journey at this point in time. Now, for those who still have a buy position running right now, I would be advising you to move your stop losses to secure the current position. As you all know, this is what we do in this community. As soon as price action moves significantly well in our favor, we definitely want to be locking in the profit. We don't want to give it back to the market as it has given it to us already. So at this point in time, I will be suggesting that we give enough room for price action to break so we can have our stop losses on all buy positions around the 15,500 level, and let's give enough room for price action to breed, hoping that price action will still continue to the upside. Now, with a well secured position on this one, congrats to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. What is our next line of action for today? What are we looking at? Are we continuing buying the US Tech 100, or are we going to be getting ready for a retracement move, which could be a reflection of profit-taking activity, considering the fact that we're on the last trading day of the week? And if we also zoom out further, you will see that since the beginning of the week, price action has moved over 500 pips, and key players in the market who are taking advantage of a very cheap price around that $15,000 mark will definitely want to be doing some profit-taking activities, which could reflect on the chart as a retracement, probably back into any of this level, or in fact back into that ascending trend line at the beginning of the week. So now let's look at what is really going on here since the later part of the New York session. Now, our center of focus is going to be around this area, as depending on what happened here will determine what will be going on, what will go on till the end of the day. Now, the first thing you would observe here is how price action, as soon as it got into that psychological level, at the 15,600 area, we saw sharp rejections of that level. We saw the first one there. We saw another one during the early hours of today to give us signs that sellers are indeed present around this area. And the inability of buyers to break out of this structure could likely be signs that we might be seeing a retracement move anytime soon. And in order to help us guide our trading activity, we want to identify what pattern is going on here, and it's looking as if we are within a range right now, which further emphasizes the level of indecision at this point in time. So now we have a resistant level at the 15,600. That is the highest point price action has been for this week, and then we want to be having a support line for that range, which will be duly identified around this zone here. So let's bring back our candle chart, and we have something along the 15,000 and 15,550 level. So let's mark this level out on our chart, so we already have a range to work with for today's trading session. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as price action falls into this kind of range, you know we're going to be exercising some patience here to wait for a signal to come up, and the signal will come either in the form of a breakout of the resistance line to give us an opportunity to buy, or the breakdown of the support line here to give us an opportunity to sell. Now, this structure we have here has a tendency of transitioning into either a trend continuation pattern or a reversal pattern at this point. Now, for us to capture any bullish or any opportunity here, first of all, I want to have a buy stop order here, since we have a very strong bullish uptrend since the beginning of the week, and of course we are very profitable, so we can afford to leverage on the profit we had made so far this week to test waters above the 15,600 to see if the buy position will click. So let's have a buy stop order above that area to capitalize on that move, and let's ensure that we have stop losses. Very, very important. Anywhere close to the support line of that range at the 15,550 zone seems much reasonable for our stop loss to sit. Now that we have identified the potential uptrend continuation here, we are going to be looking at the expectation that there could be profit-taking activities today, considering today being the last trading day of the week, as participants in the market get ready for the weekend. And this would reflect on the chart as a retracement of the impulse leg. So a breakdown of the 15,550 could incite that bearish momentum to the downside. And if this is going to be happening, remember at this point in time, we are not going to be getting too excited to jump into any sell position yet, as we will need some confirmation to happen before joining any bearish move at this point in time. Price action has been very bullish since the beginning of the week, so it's very, very reasonable that we wait for further confirmations to ensure that we are actually entering the right trade. Now, for us to confirm that sellers are indeed going to be pushing price to the downside, after the breakdown of the 15,550 happens, we scale down to our lower time frame. It could be your 5 minutes time frame, your 10 minutes time frame, your 15 minutes time frame. Look out for signs that sellers are gradually gaining momentum and that buyers are losing the steam to climb back above the 15,550 level. And of course, this would reflect on the chart as a retest of structure, followed by continued buy selling pressure, giving us signs that buyers are really struggling at this point, after which we want to be joining a bearish move to the downside. And in fact, if price action continues in such a way that it goes on to break down the 15,500, this will welcome more opportunities to maximize the potential of this bearish move. Then how far this bearish momentum will go, we don't know yet. So we still have levels like the 15,300, where depending on how price action reacts to that level will determine if we are going to be adding more sell position or getting ready to buy the USTech 100. So this is how we are going to be looking at the USTech 100 for today. So let's keep this in mind while we continue to monitor price action. And then before I close on the USTech 100, I also want to state this here, that if price breaks down, reaches the 15,550 and we join the bearish move to the downside, as soon as price gets into the $15,500 mark, ensure that you move all stop losses to secure your current position. Remember, this is a counter trend opportunity, and taking counter trend opportunities require a whole lot of attention, as whatever happens here will decide if price will go further to the downside or probably inside another wave of bullish momentum if reversal patterns is noticed. So these are my views here on the USTech 100 for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So our center of focus for today is within that 15,600 and of course the 15,550. Depending on what happens here will determine how price will be closing for this week. So let's mark these levels out on our chart. I'm going to be taking the next 15 seconds to read through the comment section and see if there are any questions, and you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart, as you will be needing it as a reference point to guide your trading activities for today. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. So we shall be moving on to the next instrument on our watch list. So the next instrument on our watch list is the GBPUSD, one of the most profitable trade for us this week so far, as we have been buying this commodity since this instrument since the beginning of the week. As you can see here, in fact, we had a TP target hit on Wednesday, giving us over 300 pips in profit on multiple entries on that one, before we joined another one there on Wednesday, Thursday too, as well, as we continue to ride that momentum all the way to the upside. In fact, congratulations to everyone who has been part of this profitable journey. Before we go into the details of what our expectations is going to be looking like for today, I would like us to take a quick review of the key moments that happened during the course of the week and how we actually sold and bought the GBPUSD along during the course of the journey. So at the beginning of the week, we were able to spot a range which we were using to guide our trading activity, and that was between the 1.28420 and of course the 1.28200 level. And with this range here, it was a clear sign that price was market participants were first of all indecisive during the first 6, 7, 8 hours of the week. And what we saw prior to the live session on Monday was the breakdown of that support line to signal that the potential of sellers are getting stronger at this point in the market. And with this breakdown at the beginning of the week, we felt that we are going to be selling the GBPUSD. So we waited for a retest of structure. Price came back to retest structure to incite another move to the downside. In fact, we also added more position had the breakout of the 1.2800 level to push price to the downside, and that single move there gave us about 70 pips on the first one, and the second position gave us about 50 pips thereabout. And if you had moved your stop losses accordingly, you must have been taken out with a modest size of profit, or at a worst case scenario break even if you moved your stop loss to your entry point. And at that point in time, we begin to see buy pressure resume. And one thing we did here on Monday, we said on Monday, is that we are not going to be buying if buy pressure resume, simply because of this descending trend line that we identified at the beginning of the week. Remember, this trend line was supposed to be used to guide our bearish momentum, and the only thing that would make us buy, we said, was that a breakout of the trend line and the 1.28200 level will be what we look out for to buy the GBPUSD, and that was exactly what happened. Price broke out of the trend line, and since then price action had continued to find higher highs, and in fact we were able to maximize this move by adding more positions at key structures that were broken to the upside, as you can see here. So on that first day, we had over 4 or 5 positions running to capitalize on that move as price action gradually went to hit our TP target at the 1.297. Then right here on Wednesday, we also had the privilege of joining more positions at the 1.297. Remember, we had a buy stop order here which was triggered, and we rode that move all the way up. And during our live session yesterday, we also acknowledged more opportunities had the breakout of the 1.30800 level, as you can see here. So it was quite an interesting position for us on the GBP USD so far this week. So well done to everyone who had been part of this profitable journey. So now, with a well secured position, ensure you've moved all your stop losses. If you still have a buy position running, let's ensure that we move all stop losses, lock in the profit while we get ready for the New York session today. So what is our plans going into the New York session today? So let's zoom into where our center of focus is going to be for today. Sorry for the break in transmission. I had to attend to my baby who was crying. So I think things are fine now. So let's get back to the business. And so, like I was saying earlier, I said we are back into a level which we are, this structure right here is what we are going to be using to guide our trading activity for today. And in fact, I already have a sell position running, so I will be talking and sharing with you what led into that decision and how we still have the potentials of buyers still very solid around this area. Now, this morning, while I was trying to dissect the current market structure with the hopes of identifying the potential direction where price action is likely going to go and even close for the week, I noticed that as soon as price got into that level along the 1.31425 area during the New York session yesterday, we have been noticing how buyers have been struggling around that area. Now, one of the things we notice here is continued selling pressure. As you can see here, we saw what happened during the middle of the night. We saw selling pressure again, and a couple of hours ago, we saw a sharp rejection of the 1.31425. And this for me is a clear sign that buyers might likely have lost that steam that they began the week with, and sellers are gradually coming in. And if we look at the psychological aspect of it, that is, considering that today is the last trading day of the week, the chances that majority in the market who had bought the pound sterling at a very cheap price will probably want to be doing some profit taking activity ahead of the weekend, and this could come in the form of choppy situations, consolidation phase, which will incite a retracement to the downside. And as a result of this expectation, a continuous selling pressure around this area could incite that move to the downside. And one thing I saw here while trying to dissect it further is that I'm beginning to see a potential reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure. As you can see, price action tested the 131.425 level here. It came into the 1.31200 level, and the inability of price action to break out of the previous high is a sign that a momentum is gradually building up. And with the situation here, we have something that looks like a double top structure. And you know, when we start seeing structures like this, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify a neckline which we are going to be using to validate the potency of that reversal pattern. And with that being said, we had a neckline situated at the 1.31200 area, where a breakdown retest of that structure will be what we are looking for to join a counter trend opportunity. And if you look at the structure closely, we already had a breakdown. First of all, price came back to retest the structure, hence my sell stop was triggered at that point in time, with my stop loss sitting somewhere right above the 131.425 level right here. So currently I'm in a sell position which is currently in profit of about, let's see, about 12, 14, 15 pips profit at this point in time. I'm not still sure this sell momentum is going to continue to the downside, but definitely let's see how this plays out. We are very profitable so far this week, so we can still afford to leverage on some of the profits we've made so far to test waters around this area and see if this current position will click. So in this regard here, I will continue to look out for more opportunities to sell if price action continues to drop to the downside. And in fact, I have a couple more of key levels that we are going to be using to maximize the potential of this bearish move. So I have a structure here at the 1.3100 area, a very strong psychological level considering the round figure of that price. And of course, we have at the 1.30800 level, of course, another level to maximize the potential of this bearish move if price action ever breaks down this level. So these are the things I'm going to be looking out for to continue to sell and add more position to our existing trade. Now, another thing I would like to call our attention to here is the ascending trend line, which we've been using since the beginning of the week. Remember, after connecting the series of higher lows, remember we had this ascending trend line which has been supporting our bullish trading activity since the beginning of the week. Now, if price action gradually comes into that trend line, we definitely want to see how it will react to that level. Now, if it drops further into that structure and we start seeing buying pressure around this area, something like a double bottom structure, head and shoulder pattern, or any reversal pattern you can think of that comes up around that area, identify your neckline breakout retest will give us an opportunity to join a trend continuation to the upside. But if price action instead drops below the ascending trend line, then at this point we are likely going to be seeing a very strong sell-off in this market. A retest of structure definitely will welcome more opportunity, and if that happens, we want to be adding more position. And you would know that we already have 3 positions running if price action gets into that level, giving us the privilege of maximizing the bearish move to the downside. So let's see how this will play out in the next couple of hours. So I'm looking out for selling opportunities right now in a sell position running. I have key levels marked out on your chart, as you can see, to maximize this bearish move to the downside. Now, in as much as we are looking forward to a potential retracement in this market, we still cannot ignore the potentials the buyers to have, and that will be if a breakout of the 1.31425 happens, that is, price takes out all the sell positions here, then at this point I want to consider an opportunity to buy. Now I have a buy stop order above the 1.31425. I could afford to leverage some of the profit I've made so far this week to test waters around that area. But if you are new to the GBPUSD trade this week, I would advise you to exercise some patience, wait for a breakout of the 1.31425 to happen, then scale down to your lower time frame where we want to look out for retest of structure before joining any move to the upside. This is what we shall be looking at for us to join a trend continuation to the upside from this area. That is, if price does not continue to the downside here. So these are my views here on the GBPUSD for today. If you have any questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions, and you can as well use that time to mark out those levels on your charts and screenshot if you want to, as you will be needing them as a reference point when you're about to make your independent decision on your account. Hello, Susie MB. Good morning to you. Glad to have you around. 149139111. Good morning to you too. Donlas BTC. Good morning to you too. You're asking what the latest update for market. Of course, we've been discussing that for the last 50 minutes or so now. Trust you've been part of the session so far. All right. So in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we are on the same page here. So we shall be moving on to the last instrument for today. So the last instrument on our watch list for today is the XAUUSD, another phenomenal trading activity for us on the XAUUSD since the beginning of the week, as we have been buying this commodity ever since the week started. And if you remember vividly what we saw on this chart on the 4 hours time frame, where we saw a very beautiful setup. So let's run through the 4 hours time frame quickly to see how the week began for us here in this community. Now, at the beginning of the week, this was what we saw. We saw how price action since the beginning of the month of June has been finding lower highs in this market to emphasize the character of the sellers at this point in the market. And as a result of this, we connected the series of lower highs here to give us this descending trend lines you will see on your screen right now. Now, in as much as we have lower highs in this particular market, suggesting that sellers are actually strong, we were unable to find a lower low to further stamp the strength of the sellers in this market. One thing we noticed in the last couple of weeks was that as soon as price action got into the 1,900 area, we begin to see continued buy pressure around that area, hereby negating all attempt by the sellers to break through that level. Now look at what happened here. We saw the first rejection happened at the beginning of this month, and last week's trading session we saw a higher low here, giving us an ascending trend line which will serve as a vehicle to push price to the upside, as you can see here. Then in addition to these levels we identified, we saw another pattern that gave us an idea of a potential reversal move. So if we took into consideration this impulsive move that brought price into this level, we saw this situation here, and the inability of price action to break down the previous low was a clear sign that we are likely going to be seeing a reversal pattern in the form of a double bottom structure. And you know how we do it in this community. As soon as we start seeing the evolution of price action into a reversal pattern, the next thing we want to be doing is to identify the neckline of that reversal pattern, which of course we were going to be using to validate the potency of that pattern. And to do this, we were able to identify the 1,930, which coincidentally shares a confluence with our key level for the week. And you know what we were looking out for? It was a breakout retest of that structure to incite a move to the upside, and that was exactly what happened. And you know what we did also? We were able to even buy before the breakout of that neckline happened, hereby giving us the privilege to maximize the potential of that bullish move. And since that moment, see what has happened here. Price had moved over 400 pips on one single position, and remember, we had multiple entries on this one, giving us the opportunity to triple or even quadruple whatever positions or whatever pips we have on this one. And for those who are taking advantage of these opportunities, well done to you for being on standby to have caught this move. Now with the situation we have here, let me go into the chart we used yesterday to see how to secure the current buy position. Okay, sorry, I think we're already out of the buy position. I think yesterday we entered a sell position. Remember, let me share with you, this was our setup here yesterday. Remember, this was our setup yesterday. We saw that as soon as price got into the 1,963 zone, we continue to see selling pressure here, and we were thinking that this could turn out to be a reversal pattern. So we had our buy stop, our sell stop order below the structure. As you can see, this was triggered yesterday, and throughout yesterday's trading session till this morning, price action has been running in a loss. But right now, price is back into that entry point, so we're currently running in a loss of about, let's see how many pips that is. That's about 7 to 8 pips loss at this point in time, as price action continues to consolidate around that 1,955 level. So we still hold on to a sell bearish bias. We have a sell position running at this point in time. Let's see how far this move is going to go. So our center of focus for today is still remains within that zone. As you can see, in the last 24 to 36 hours, price action has remained within this zone to further emphasize the level of indecision at this point in time. And if we consider the economic event coming up later today, that is the consumer price index, which is of course an high impact event that majority in the market are looking forward to, could be a sign that participants are still holding on to wait to see what the data will be to give a clue into where price action is likely going to be going. So currently we still have a sell position running, which is currently running in a loss at this point in time. So we're still going to wait and see how far this momentum is going to go. Now, talking about this bearish expectation in this market, I don't want us to forget about the ascending trend line that has been supporting our bullish momentum since the beginning of the week. Remember, we had an ascending trend line. which has been supporting us in buying the XAUUSD, giving us the confidence to feel comfortable in our buy position, as you can see here. So if price action drops and continue to the downside, as soon as it gets into the trend line, ensure that you move all your stop losses on all sell positions to break even or your entry point, as we need to be patient and wait to see how price action will be reacting to the trend line to determine what our next line of action will be. Now, depending on what happens here will determine where price action will be going for the later part of the day. And one of the things we are going to be looking at around here, let me zoom in so that we can see things clearly, are one or two things that could happen. One, we could see reversal pattern come in here, giving us something like a double bottom structure, whatever case it may be. Identify your neckline, and then we look out for patterns that will support a trend continuation to the upside. So that is one way to look at it when price gets into that trend line. Then the other thing that could happen here is if price action breaks down the ascending trend line to the downside, then at this point we are going to be considering selling. Now remember, we are not going to be jumping right in. We're already in the sell position even before the breakdown happens. We want to remain patient and see that we really do have a breakdown and that the breakdown is not a false one. And the only way we can know this breakdown is not a false one is as soon as we have a breakdown of the ascending trend line, we want to scale down into our lower time frame, where we want to look out for patterns, structures, and signs that buyers are finding it difficult to climb back above the ascending trend line. And this would reflect on the chart as price coming back to either retest the trend line or the 1,955 level, looking out for continued selling pressure. Then we can add more position to the existing sell position we have in this market. So these are the things and structures we want to look out for us to consider selling the XAUUSD for today. Now, in as much as we're looking out for selling opportunities, considering the continued selling pressure around the $1,963.50 level, we cannot ignore the potentials of buyers. So this old consolidation phase we have here could still turn out to be an uptrend continuation pattern, which if price breaks out of the resistance line, it could be another opportunity to be part of a bullish move to the upside. Now, in this case scenario here, if price action continues to the upside and takes us out of this current sell position in a loss, then a breakout retest of the $1,963.50 level will be what we are going to be looking out for to maximize the potential of this bullish move to the upside. So this is what we are going to be looking at on the XAUUSD for today. It's a very simple setup. Our center of focus simply is between the $1,963.50 and of course the $1,955.50 level to guide our trading activity for today. And whatever happens here definitely will be what we would decide where price action will be going for today. So these are my views here on the XAUUSD for today. I hope I was able to make myself clear. If you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to let me know in the comment section, and I will be taking the next 10 to 15 seconds to see if there are any questions before I call it a day here. And you can as well use that time to mark out these levels on your chart, as you will need them as a reference point when you're about to make your independent decision on this account. All right, so in the absence of no questions, I want to assume that we're on the same page here. And it has been a wonderful moment with you guys today. It has been a wonderful and tremendous week for every one of us in this community, as we were very, very profitable on all the financial instruments that we have been monitoring since the beginning of the week. Though we had some couple of losses at some point in time, especially on the US oil, but we were all patient and resilient to ensure that we capitalize on the movement the market gave us to recoup the losses we incurred, and as well made a whole lot of profit on top of it. Well done to everyone. I really appreciate your perseverance, and let's see how today is going to go. And for those who are joining us for the first time, I hope you are able to gain one or two things from what we discussed in this community today. And trust me, the more time you spend with us, the better you become in understanding what we talked about, and eventually be able to use the information you have gathered here to make your independent decisions on your own account. So it's on this note, I wish you best of luck today. I wish you a wonderful weekend too as well, as I look forward to seeing you same time on Monday, 10 a.m. UTC, 11 a.m. West African time, as we come here again to have a fresh new perspective for the new week. Do have a wonderful evening, everyone, and a happy weekend to everyone in the house too as well. Bye bye.